From the rolling waves of the Atlantic Ocean, spanning 170 kilometers of the coastline, to the calm flow of extensive lagoons and creeks crisscrossing the state, Lagos is surrounded by abundant and magnificent water bodies. It is the reason why it is called the state of aquatic splendor. However, in spite of the extensive water bodies, availability of water for drinking and for other domestic purposes still pose a challenge. According to World Health Organization standards, the waters surrounding us are not potable and are therefore not fit for consumption. As a result, Lagos depends on Ogun River as source of drinking water, and the only alternative is the underground water extracted through borehole drilling. The import of this reality is that the water might be everywhere, yet the one that is potable is very limited in quantity. To ensure the sustainable provision of potable water to about 23 million residents of the state, Lagos State Government has since recognized the need to regulate and manage the limited resources available in order to avoid potential water and sanitation crises. This was why Lagos State Water Regulatory Commission was established through Lagos State Water Sector Law of 2004 to regulate the water and wastewater sectors of the state. The objective is to protect sources and the long-term interest of consumers with regard to the price, quality, and reliability of services in the two sectors. It is also to ensure that operators of water services secure reasonable profit to enable them provide continuous services.
The Lagos State Water Regulatory Commission has amongst its functions the responsibility to regulate, monitor, control abstraction, production, distribution, quality of service, quality of water, in such a way that the investors in that sector are also able to enjoy financial viability. And upon resumption, we found out that there's a little bit of disconnect between how the public perceives what the regulatory dispensation should be vis-a-vis what we should be doing.
Since it came into being, the Commission has preoccupied itself with the provision of institutional framework for the regulation of the water and wastewater sector. By this, it is not only beaming its searchlight on the activities of service providers in the sector, it is also ensuring the provision of clean, safe, and hygienic water supply across the state. In continuation of these efforts, Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu's administration, through Lagos State Water Regulatory Commission, recently organized Lagos Water Conference, themed Repositioning Water Governance and Regulatory Dispensation in Lagos State. The conference focused on the salient need to regulate this critical sector for optimum productivity while ensuring its standard.
The current water crisis, in which almost half of the world's population has no or insufficient access to clean water, appears to be an everyday occurrence and is referred to as the governance crisis. That is why good water management all over the world is one of the prerequisites of good governance. But what exactly is good water governance? At the end of 2011, the Dutch Water Governance Center, WGC, produced a brief memorandum in which 5 elementary building blocks for good water governance are listed. These are: 1, a powerful administrative organization of water management; 2nd, a legally embedded system of water law; 3, an adequate financing system; 4, a systematic planning approach; and 5, the participation of stakeholders.
The organization of this conference at this early part of the year is a further demonstration of this administration's genuine commitment to the provision of quality, affordable, clean, accessible and safe water to the generality of the masses, irrespective of their political affinity, origin, tribe, or race.
Across the world, the environmental regeneration programs in the water sector are regulatory based. It is no longer fashionable for government to leave such a significant and life-supporting sector to endless exploitation by individuals and organizations without some measures of control. The conference thus had in attendance stakeholders in the water sector as the administration seeks their understanding in instituting best practices in the interest of all.
This gathering here today is about seeking the buy-in of the critical stakeholders in ensuring the success of our regulatory guidelines, because they will all be aimed at the provision of safe water in a healthy environment towards ensuring the well-being of all. Let me at this junction use this opportunity to invite all and sundry to join this stream of collective transformation of our state, even as I assure you all that this government will continue to create an enabling environment for business to thrive in the water sector.
One of the major stakeholders is the federal government. The presence of the representatives of the Federal Ministry of Water Resources attests to the important roles the two have to play at ensuring a functional water sector. It is a fact that a working collaboration between the state and federal governments can ensure appropriate regulations and facilitate a conducive environment for the sector to thrive.
At this point in time, while neglecting the fact that viable and economic water is hard to get, and we all as stakeholders work together in achieving a common goal of making sure we regulate appropriately and effectively from the local government level to the federal level as well. It is imperative that our regulatory environment must be tied with best practices, strengthened to ensure that operators in this field are adequately trained and given the requisite skill needed to remain key stakeholders in this era of repositioning water governance and regulation dispensation.
As a former state in Nigeria, Lagos has an enormous responsibility to serve as benchmark and set the pace in water regulation. This thought served as the anchor of the paper delivered by the guest speaker, Julius Stein, from Osmotech in South Africa, entitled International Best Practice Standards for Water Governance and Regulatory Dispensations, including examples of similar regions.
This is not only a Lagos problem. I have experienced it in so many different countries that we are active in, including America. People think America is advanced, first world. But if I share with you some of the crises in some of the major cities in America in terms of their water supply to the communities, it's incredible. India, Morocco, just as a matter of interest in Morocco and Algeria and so forth, we have actually crisis of water where, because of irregular boreal activity or uncontrolled or unplanned water boreal activity, we're actually installing desalination plants inland because of the salination penetration into the aquifers over there.
The Lagos State Water Sector Policy document puts the target consumption of water per person at 135 litres per day. This puts the average water requirement for Lagos State residents at over 3 billion litres per day. To meet up with this huge demand, different players have come into the industry as service providers.
We are here so that we see ourselves as a stakeholder in this, because when you look at the likes of Pepsi, likes of Coca-Cola, likes of the First Bank, and you don't see people selling water, dispersing, having a loading point, selling to people on the street, then there's a gap.
The ensuring of standard dispensation of clean water.
Unfortunately, some of these providers have no professional qualification, experience, or technical competence to provide effective and efficient water services to the people. This is why it is the responsibility of every responsible government to provide and enforce standard practices which will enable only the experts to practice the trade.
my major purpose here, what I want to achieve today, is just to make people who are stakeholders come to the realization that water regulation is at this time an imperative. It is an imperative because of so many things that we see ourselves, and especially some of the things that the first speaker Adele has spoken about. It is important for national development.
In the past, you could describe it as a void. It was an all-commerce affair, and everybody doing whatever they liked. And Lagos State must have the highest number of quacks in the industry.
To be precise, it is an established fact that the water sources, either surface or underground, can be polluted through unsafe practices. For a resource like potable water that is limited, uncontrolled activities of quacks and even professionals would ultimately lead to pollution with their consequences on the people. The need for regulation is to make sure that only those who are competent and knowledgeable in the business of water production and extraction are the only ones engaging in the business. Interestingly too, government must be able to master the will and the law to be able to drive the necessary change in orientation towards the right practices.
It is very key for us to understand that when we talk about water, water might appear to be everywhere present. But my dear stakeholders and those of us in governance, it is not everywhere present in the way it should be. Certainly, Lagos has water everywhere.
When the importance of water to life is considered, the need for regulation will be appreciated. Water has a lot to do with sanitation and hygiene, which are part of the factors that shape the state of health of the people. Unsafe water practices in the state will not only impact the health and well-being of Lagosians negatively, it will also slow down productive activities and eventually the economy.
Let's talk water, the essence of pure life. Everything we do, we need water. All organisms survive on water, plants, animals, crickets. I really don't have much time, so I'll try to hasten it up. Madame said the human body is made of 60% of water. It's true. But here's what I didn't know, because I used to hate biology. I didn't know that our liver, the main constituent, was water. Our brain, our hearts, our kidney. Color me blue. I didn't know I needed water as much as I actually needed. So these things, it makes for fantastic realization.
These are issues bordering on our environment, and I would like us to go home with a lot of ethical responsibility that we're going to change for the good of the environment. It's a wonderful and remarkable first water conference, even for my sister, the ES, and myself, when I got to this post of this well-result-oriented driven administration. Certainly, irrespective of the many challenges we're facing in the state and the nation, I must commend the effort of everybody in coming together and moving our state and our nation forward. Like we say, water everywhere, none to drink. We know Lagos State is a state of water. We call it aquatic splendor. But at the same time, we're leading, we're pace setting. And this is for us to change our ways. So I really appreciate the timing of this workshop. And as we are all aware, talking about the environment without mentioning water, we've not started at all. Water is used for transportation in Lagos, is used in the home, our body content is even 70% water. So we need to take water very, very seriously.
Our focus mainly is just to ensure that activities are regulated in the best interest of us all and in the best interest of the environment. The Prof has spoken to people who just wake up, you can hire people and then you are a driller. Whether they get to the level of safe water, we don't know. Like I said, my own experience before getting here is to have a borehole driller that comes up with about 8 different samples of sands, and it says we have gotten good water, and that's all that we have to show for it. So it's just about, regulating operators and ensuring that you are safe in terms of water. We've seen all the dangers that we can experience if things aren't done right.
In addition to focusing on water regulation, there are various environmental practices that negatively affect the water sector. Research has shown that poor environmental practices through indiscriminate or uncontrolled dumping of polluting substances, such as untreated waste, waste oil, sipping of wastewater from gutter and sewage, discharge of chemicals and others into the ground, contaminates the underground water, thereby causing waterborne diseases that could lead to death.
It is very key for us to understand that when we talk about water, water might appear to be everywhere present, but my dear stakeholders and those of us in governance, it is not everywhere present in the way it should be.
This is why Lagos State government is also beaming its searchlight on the associated issues confronting the water sector towards adopting a holistic approach to solving the challenges.
This conference is for us and basically for well drillers. There has been agitations, there have been issues about whether it is right for us to be licensed and whether it's appropriate for companies to pay such charges and tariffs, and whether it is very important for them to pay permits before borehole can be drilled.
The Lagos Water Conference aligns with the goals of the second pillar H of the theme's agenda, which stands for health and environment. It was also organized in demonstration of the commitment of Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu's administration to the provision of quality, affordable, clean, accessible, and safe water in the state.
I started asking the question, how long can an average human being survive without water? Without food, you could probably last 21 days. Without water, it's rumored 2 to 7 days, depending on your activity. The more you burn out, the more you need water. It's just that simple. So should it be something that only the middle class or the rich should be able to afford the finer qualities of?
With a clear understanding of the fact that the water industry is a sensitive sector that cannot be open for all comers, stakeholders at the conference are more aware of the contending issues relating to water practices. They have come to appreciate the move to ensure appropriate regulation for the sector.
This program is so important that those of us who are in Nigerian Water and Sanitation Association have been clamoring for something like this. From government side, we know government needs to do a lot of policy activities in regulating water in Nigeria, in Lagos particularly. And Lagos being a foremost state in Nigeria, most of the things that happen about water in Nigeria takes off from Lagos State. So that is why we are interested in partnering with Lagos State Water Regulatory Commission.
Bringing the matter of water to the fore, I think, is very germane to our state, because that's the area where we have core competence. We are surrounded by water, and now defining the usage of water, bringing it to the fore is very key, because water itself is life, and I believe we are talking about life now.
It's about repositioning governance of the water sector in Lagos, and we're going to try and see how regulation will be introduced and how it's going to be managed. Basically, that's what it's all about.
Also at the conference, Lagos State government unveiled the borehole permit for drillers and residents, as well as 4 different books on water resources management and regulations.
To the glory of God. and to the benefit of the good people of Lagos State, we unveil this for their information. For you to drill a borehole, you are certified for drilling a proper borehole. Yeah, and we also have for borehole permits.
Please note that this is how the permits will look like.
The Lagos Water Conference might have come and gone. However, the quantum of information and knowledge shared at the event will shape the state's water sector for a long time to come. It must also be mentioned that the conference has opened a new vista of opportunities for the state government and stakeholders to further collaborate in the interest of the sector. One thing is sure, the Lagos state water sector will not remain the same again.